You know what's been really fun to do on my video about the Barbie movie that's like semi-blowing up? I've been watching a lot of these mansplainy red pill, oh, I'm an alpha types come in here and argue with women about what's wrong with the movie. And I'll see these really intelligent women engage with them, try to educate them, and they'll just come back with completely unsubstantiated hate speech. And I'll wait until they get like good and heated in this argument, and then I'll start deleting their comments as they come in. So they'll be having this argument, the girl will land a really good point, and when he comes in with his response, I just sit there and I delete them so that it looks like she got the last word. And you would be surprised how much time these guys spend just trying to post the same comment over and over again because they cannot not have the last word. And I realize it's petty, and I realize I'm wasting just as much of my time as they are, but the difference therein lies that they're getting angrier and angrier as they make posts, and I am having an absolute blast. And trust me, I've spent plenty of time arguing with misogynistic men, but I'm beginning to see that I think the thing that makes them even angrier than losing an argument is not getting to be heard at all. It sucks, doesn't it? And they can complain and him and haw all they want about how they're being censored and they're being silenced, but the truth of the matter is they can't get any attention making their own videos, so they just have to hitch their wagon to whichever one is getting traction so that they can have their little hissy fit in public. You're not being silenced or censored. You can always make your own video. Whether anyone is going to pay attention to it or not, different story.
If men were making dumb comments and getting schooled, then why delete them? This goes to show, you give a woman any type of power, and she more likely abuses it. The feminists in her comment section finally makes a decent point, but the man rebuttals it with facts and logic, and she can't handle her worldview being challenged. This is why feminism is at the forefront of anti-free speech, everywhere they affect with their ideology. People go to jail in the UK all the time for misgendering someone, or by making a mean post on social media. We live in a society of snowflakes. Her final argument is make your own if you don't want to be silenced. Just like they're saying now, make your own bank or payment process if you don't want to be kicked off. Well, feminists, how about make your own app from scratch if you want to be heard instead of using a communist Chinese app to make videos? Make your own phone, feminists, since you can do anything a man does. Make your own country instead of ruining this one. Go build your own country from scratch that will never have toxic masculinity or patriarchy or guns, and make a communist state. And let's see if it can progress past the Stone Age. We'll allow you to use modern technology that men have made and see if you can keep a country running for 10 years without collapsing or being conquered.
Everyone should be a feminist.
Yeah, well, men have issues too.
Yeah, the patriarchy affects men too.
You guys don't care about male issues. Women are more likely to win custody battles.
Exactly, because the stereotypes pushed by the patriarchy that women are more loving and nurturing.
Well, men are charged and punished more for the same crime that women commit.
As I said, the patriarchy, and over 80% of all crimes committed are by men.
You guys don't care about male victims. Guys get sexually assaulted too.
Real feminists support male victims. The stereotype that men are strong and can't be victims attributes to this. A lot of male sexual assault victims don't come forward because of men, saying that the man should have enjoyed the sexual encounter. And when women were putting their painted hands on their body so that they could tell their stories, boys went and mocked that. But yes, male sexual assault victims should be taken seriously.
Well, feminists just hate men.
Someone who actively hates on men is a misandrist, and they cannot be a real feminist because feminists want equality.
Okay, well what about #KillAllMen?
It's a joke made in retaliation to all the sexist remarks made by men on this app, and abusers like Chris Brown are still popular. Real men know Kill All Men isn't about them.
Well,
this is the future of the West, which is better off being hit by a comet because of government brainwashing camps called the public education system. Feminism isn't equality, just like masculinity doesn't mean equality as well. Otherwise, where are the large marches demanding 50-50 custody, like the Pussy Hat marches? Where are the women demanding that strong, independent women shouldn't get alimony or child support? If you listen to the feminist founders, they admit it's not about equality. A quote from one of the founders of feminism, Kate Millett, states, "The complete destruction of traditional marriage and the nuclear family is the revolutionary or utopian goal of feminism." Or a quote from Linda Gordon, another feminist founder, The nuclear family must be destroyed. Whatever its ultimate meaning, the breakup of families now is an objectively revolutionary process. A patriarchy society would be most countries in the Middle East, where until the late 2000s didn't allow women to drive or vote. A patriarchal society would punish cheating women, not celebrate them or reward them with half a man's wealth. I guess feminists need to say this because they can't believe that they're the useful idiots who are helping to destroy society. It's like today's communists advocating for communism. But when you bring up the hundreds of millions who died because of communism, then they claim that wasn't real communism. Maybe 1 billion people need to die under communism for communists to finally admit it doesn't work. And sadly, maybe a feminist-ran country needs to be conquered and enslaved until feminists realize they need a nuclear family to build strong men to defend their families and nation from invaders.
Girl called me ugly. I said, girl, where? She said, under all that makeup. I said,
alright. You was right, I was wrong.
That's the perfect metaphor for feminism. So the next time a modern woman claims all men are liars, ask her why she's wearing fake-up. Why does she need to wear a mask and look like a different person? As you see, this chick without makeup looks like Tyrone, the crack dealer in front of the 7-Eleven. Or it's Deshaun in the back alley playing dice. How much do you want to bet? She wants a man over 6 feet tall and an athlete. Women, if you want men to stop lying about their height, which by the way, they should. Trust me guys, it's not worth the aggro. But since modern women want to have these ridiculous standards, most of which a man will have absolutely no influence over, such as height and tool size, maybe you shouldn't wear a makeup mask, or wear heels, or wear wigs. That's why men should go on a pool date for the first date. Make her wear a 2-piece, and because women will also wear spandex, which can make a beer gut look like a flat stomach. The pool will be the clock striking midnight to most of these modern women, and they'll turn back into a pumpkin.
Okay, we need to normalize the amount of people that women actually sleep with. I went on a first date with this guy last week, and he goes, yeah, I always judge a girl if she sleeps with me on the first date. I'm sorry, Frank, but aren't you sleeping with her on the first date too? Somebody please tell me why it is okay for men to sleep with as many women as they want, but yet women cannot sleep with as many men as they want. I'm so confused as to why women are called sluts and men aren't.
Because it's easy for an average woman to get laid, all they have to do is say yes. And feminism has normalized women sleeping around. Has she not heard of slut walk? And sounds like she got rejected by a based Chad. Of course, most men will sleep with a woman on the first date but never take her seriously. This is what women don't understand. Women control access to sex, and most men won't pass up the opportunity. This is why so many men say modern women are for recreational use only. Because why would they pay full price for something they just got for free? Would you expect people to buy the free samples Costco gives out for free? It's part of men's biology to spread their seed as much as possible. And in the past, a man would have to truly achieve something monumental to be able to sleep with a lot of women, as they didn't give it up for anybody back then. Genghis Khan conquered one of the biggest land areas in history, and that's why nearly 20% of all Asians are descendants of him. If being rejected or judged is bothering her and her ilk so much, then maybe she shouldn't sleep around. Instead of trying to normalize degeneracy, have more self-control. Only open your legs if the man will be there to raise the kid, or at least has been on more than one date, instead of entering these so-called situationships.
What kind of grades did you get in high school, and what do you do for work today?
So a lot of people are using this sound to talk about how they had bad grades, but now they're doing well. I want to offer a different perspective, because I worked my ass off for my grades. In high school, I just got A's and B's, which was fine, but I did a ton of extracurriculars and I had great SAT scores. Then in college, it really took off because I was taking STEM classes and I was getting straight A's for the most part. Chemistry, biology, calculus, A. I was doing 15 credit hours a semester. I was working part-time at Starbucks. I was working as a math tutor. I was president of more than one club. I worked so hard that I got to start working in a biology lab where I was pulling 5 a.m. shifts on Christmas Day. I got an honorable mention from the Goldwater Scholarship because of the B I got in organic chemistry. But I'm really happy to say that after all of that hard work, I do think I'm pretty successful now. I have nearly 2,000 subscribers on Only.
That was funny. All that effort of feminism and education just for her to turn to the oldest profession in history. Instead of doing that schoolwork, she could have just saved her virginity and married a rich guy she was attracted to at age of 18, as long as she cooked and cleaned. Then, her parents and future kids could be proud of her. She's probably the type of girl that advocates for respecting women no matter what. Or she can be topless, and men have to be able to control themselves because, just because she's topless, doesn't mean she wants any attention. Ironically, had this been before feminism, she would have become a scientist for NASA, because back then, there was no OnlyFans, and whores were shunned by society.
Values and ideas of
The modern day men's liberation movement is gaslighting.
Gaslighting. Yet another very popular, yet often misused buzzword.
The men's liberation movement hinges on the crux that men have such tough standards put on them by society.
That's because they do.
In that original video, he reads a book about men's liberation that was from the 1960s that talked about how men unalive themselves because the standards are so high for them. Well, since the 1960s, male suicide rates have only gone up, but the standards for what men are supposed to do since the 1960s have literally crashed and burned.
Have they? How so?
Reminder, 1 in 4 American children are completely fatherless. The men have completely abandoned those children. I'm talking financially, emotionally.
And I suppose that's entirely the men's fault, is it?
But Annie, we men still have to work. This comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I wish just one man who preached about men's liberation would just read. Just read the data around you.
Is anyone else wondering when the gaslighting part is going to somehow come into the conversation?
The norm in America is that families, both spouses, work. That is very much the American norm. Oh, and on top of the women working and paying the bills, they also are doing the overwhelming majority of childcare, housework, the cooking, the cleaning, the emotional labor.
Emotional labor. Well, that's different.
So if I hear one more man in this men's liberation movement talking about the mental health of men because, oh, we're working so hard.
No worries there, because now one is going to hear from a woman.
What are you talking about?
Is one asking that question because one is failing to understand what they're talking about, or because one is just trying to downplay it?
In 2023, it is women who are expected by society to do everything.
Everything, huh? Seems like that goalpost was just moved.
Have a full-time job, to be pregnant and push out a baby and go back to work. 12 weeks later, working full-time, pumping every 2 hours, paying half those bills, being a hands-on mom, cooking and cleaning for her family. Oh, and fucking her husband still. But please, men's liberation movement, tell me how hard it is to go to work and pay half of those bills and how hard it is for you men. This is a reminder that you live in a world of your own creation. If you want to believe that men are just, oh, it's so hard on them, you're gonna believe that if you've decided to believe that.
Just like one seems to believe that women are expected to do everything, right?
Why believe that when there's so much data out there that would show you, damn, men actually aren't even doing the bare minimum nowadays?
I think we're going to need to hear it from a subject matter expert like oneself. What exactly is the bare minimum that men are expected to do? That hasn't been mentioned yet.
They're abandoning their kids. America is #1 in single mother households.
I know that one doesn't really want to hear this, but those single mother households do have something in part to do with the choices that some of those women make.
American men are a joke.
No, they are not the joke here.
But we have intelligent men like this man who's in medical school, who just drones on and on about the men's liberation movement and how hard it is on men nowadays. And oh, the mental health of men because they're expected to do so much. What are you talking about?
One could have actually figured out what they were talking about if one had actually been paying attention and listened, instead of trying to spend this entire time disproving and downplaying the issues that men actually have to face every day.
You are living in a world that you have created. You are reading books from the 1960s. We don't live in that world anymore, buddy. From this point on, I am no longer ever going to use the term men's liberation movement. I'm going to call it the men's gaslighting movement. That is what it is, and that is what I'm going to call it.
Interesting choice. However, the ironic part is that one didn't actually point out anything that men are doing to gaslight anyone. However, that entire video was actually a demonstration on what gaslighting really looks like.
The dumb or ignorant feminist in the orange claims men don't work hard. A question for her: who legally mines the rare minerals her phone uses so she can record herself mocking men's mental health? Who's more likely to have a shelter if they get evicted because for every 1,000 women's shelters, there's only one men's shelter? Who can look average and spread their legs to make 6 figures being a digital stripper? And feminists are the ones who championed for years that women can do everything. Men aren't promoting boss bitch lifestyle on social media. And the women on social media who do everything don't work a real job. Being a professional influencer isn't creating a part for a machine that builds the brakes for a car. And most career women demand that the house chores are split up with their husband. That's why they chose the career, so they can avoid motherly duties. Also, men traditionally do chores for the home, like mow the lawn, fix the window, change the light bulb, or build a new deck. Even back when they were the sole provider, a deadbeat mom can receive child support and welfare, while a deadbeat dad will be thrown in jail for not paying child support. Not only that, they'll take away his professional licenses and his driver's license. The only time a man does the bare minimum is if he's a Chad or Tyrone who's unemployed, but feminists still let him raw dog them on the first night, and he leaves when they get pregnant. But then, the same feminists will demand a man to become a cuck, aka a stepfather, who has a 6-figure income, a car, and a house, just to raise Chads and Tyrone's kids.
So why are you not out there petitioning to abolish the draft? It's honestly really ironic when men bring this up, because abolishing the draft is a very common kind of bullet point within feminist movements, because it is a group of people in power, namely the government, telling people what they can and cannot do with their own bodies. And yet, for some strange reasons, when men bring up the draft, especially as like a gotcha counterpoint to like a feminist movement, it's never them talking about how and why they want to abolish the draft. It's just talking about how they want to make women be in the draft as well. Why do you think that is? Instead of the mindset being, oh, this thing has the potential to hurt men, we should try and abolish it. The mindset is, well, hey, this thing's really harmful and can hurt men, but let's also hurt women as well. It's weird.
This proves once again that feminism wants the benefits of a man without the responsibility. During the women's suffrage movement, the majority of women didn't want the responsibility to vote because they'd have to sign up for the draft. And there needs to be a draft because singing peace and love isn't going to stop an invading army at the gates. The problem is, in America, the draft has been abused by the corrupt elites, the same elites who push feminism for fake wars, so of course most men are against the draft. And what's wrong with making women go on the front lines? Aren't feminists claiming there's no difference between men and women? Isn't a pillar of feminism that women are strong and independent, and they can do anything a man can do? Men want women, especially feminists, to be at the front of the line because they're enjoying a lot of the benefits of men going to war. Women only want to be the CEOs, not the garbage collector or the sewer cleaner. Where are women demanding to operate a jackhammer on construction sites? Instead, they get paid the same amount on a road construction site holding a sign to slow down the traffic.
So I wanted to share just a little bit about my journey from being in the camp of not all men to where I'm at now with a much better understanding of why it has to be all men. So I used to be pretty firmly in the camp of not all men. I would read, news articles and stories about things happening to women, hear about experiences, and I would believe them. It's not that I didn't believe them that they would happen. I would immediately go to a place of, these men, like they're giving us a bad name. These jerks, why can't they just stop it? Because it's not all men. These guys. And then one day, I don't remember the exact wording of the post I saw on Facebook, but something about the way that it was worded got through to me in a different way that nothing else had at that point. And the message was, it's you. The message of this thing was, it's you, and you are doing these things. And so I had to take a really long, hard look at myself and do some assessing, like, am I doing this stuff? And I had a conversation with my wife, really in-depth conversation with my wife about whether, what, am I doing these things? Is there anything that I do that makes you feel unsafe, that lets you know that you're not, like, am I doing any of these things? Please help me. If I am, please bring it to my awareness. Did I ever make you feel unsafe in anything that I did or anything that I said? And really just trying to identify that in myself. Well, after going through that process and kind of taking stock of myself and kind of looking at where I want to go and who I want to be, I came to an understanding that the not or the all men argument, they have to take that approach. It's a survival. It's a question of survival. That was my growing understanding. It's a question of survival. It's a question of course they have to take that approach, because it's not as if we wear labels around our necks, signs on our heads saying, no, here's this guy's history, here's this guy's history. Nope, he doesn't, but yes, he does. It's a matter of survival. You have to treat everything that falls in that category as a threat, because to do otherwise is to invite disaster and catastrophe. And then with my most recent video that has gone far and wide, there are so many women for whom their literal experience has been all men.
Poor simp is going to learn the hard way when his wife finally leaves him, or he finds out that she's cheating on him for a man who displays toxic masculinity, or God forbid his wife uses a false accusation against him. Women having to choose which man she can trust is not exclusive to just women. Men have to do the same thing. Who to do business with and not get screwed over, etc. In the old days, women wouldn't be left alone. One of her male family members, preferably her husband or father, would accompany her to the store. Most kidnappings happened to women who lived that strong, independent life, like coming home at midnight after a girl's night out, or go to work at 5 a.m. in the morning, by waiting at an empty train station. And the truth is, he doesn't feel safe because the simp looks like a weakling.
Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video, guys. Till next time.